I don't know. So, I don't know. At the end of the day, we have a lot of men here. What I was talking about in a video prior to this one is we have a lot of men out here in America on a lot of different things from a lot of different places. You know, we are a mixing pot of all different kind of cultures, ideologies, and so on and so forth. You know, that could work for us or that could work against us. Like I said back in Tampa, we don't really have a unified ideology in this country. Even when we do have one, it seems we don't have one, which could have a lot to do with a lot of things, actually. I don't know how much it has to do with it, but it could somewhat significantly, to some significance or another, affect our penal system, you know, with incarceration rate. But that's not really what I want to go on about right now. I want to say just like we don't have a really unified ideology in a lot of ways. So we have a lot of people here. We have a main thing. We have a majority, and maybe they share ideologies and paradigms a lot. But then we have a lot of minorities out here as well. That could work for us. It could work against us. But I guess Russian men, North Korean men, Iranian men, whoever, China men, men from China, Chinese men, they're not, as far as civilians go, especially the military, perhaps even more so. What do they even go on about? You know, what is their motive in life, as opposed to the ideologies of America? They're not a very pampered men, is what I'm trying to get to. What I'm alluding to. They don't seem. It doesn't seem to me that they're very pampered. I'm gonna check with my AI here in a minute, see what it has to say. Refer with that. I'll confer with them. I'll confer with it. As far as the difference in the psychologies of the men. Now, I'm not trying to take any morale away from American men. Not at all. I'm just saying we have a lot out here. You know, we have a little of this, we have a little of that. See, it probably wouldn't hurt me, like I said in the other video, just go knock on their door and say, look, this is where I'm at right now. This is what I'm seeing. This is how it is. I feel like we got some big shit going on. So I know I'm 51 years of age and I've got a record of this, I've got a record of that, and so on and so forth. But considering the bigger picture, the larger picture, maybe it's time to get me started on, you know, a healthy diet. And maybe it's time to, you know, get me in here and get me on a healthy diet, some Krav Maga, some working out, and all of the manners and variables as such. The mental things and some education about war and all kept in different manners and variables as such. There's a lot of shit I don't know. I didn't go to Boy Scouts. I can tie maybe 3 knots, 3 or 4 official knots, you know what I mean? Whereas you got a lot of people out there, they've got all their knots mastered. They can put up a tent. They can tell you the difference between this botanical species and that one and that one. They can tell you what this does. You know, they got an indigenous understanding about indigenous ways of living out in the wild. They have all kind of expertise going on. They don't use how to use a fucking knife. You know what I mean? When this war started in Ukraine, the vast majority of those men out there didn't know jack shit about jack shit. I don't know how you took all the civilians, other than having the military men who had an understanding at first, at some point going in, teaching them about tanks and bazookas and all kinds of different manners and variables. So how much training did they have a chance to do? Did they train along the way? Because the vast majority of them over there were civilians. So that's what I'm trying to say. I think maybe it's time to go in there and just take some initiative and knock on the door and say, look, I'm ready to get started. Because I've got a lot to fucking patch up here, a lot to do. As opposed to sitting around and waiting to just jump in there and I'm out of shape and so on and so forth. And I'm out of touch and I don't know this, I don't know that. I guess I could teach you along the way, yeah?